Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having a fantastic Wednesday wherever you may be across the country or indeed around the world. We got a lot to dive into. Media Matters came after me on this for something I said on this show, which kind of is crazy to me. We'll have some fun with that. ESPN politics story, Bobby Barack with a good piece up on OutKick about it. Crazy white women were the only group to increase their overall support for Kamala Harris. I think I meant to tell you yesterday, I talked about it on Clay and Buck on gift certificates on dates. Mamdani is surging in New York City. It looks like he's going to be the next mayor. What are the consequences if that were to end up happening? All that and more. But I want to start with something that is super cool and something that is fantastic and that I can't wait, hopefully, to be a part of. And that is that the UFC, according to Dana White, is going to be taking place on the South Lawn of the White House on the 250th anniversary of our birth as a nation. You will be able to be on the White House lawn with the Washington Monument in the background, with the splendid fireworks booming above you, and we are going to watch a match from inside of the UFC octagon on the South Lawn of the White House. Prediction: I think this is going to be the toughest ticket that has ever existed for any sporting event of all time. And it may be the only ticket where StubHub won't work. Because it's not as if, look, if you're wealthy enough, you can basically get a ticket to, any sporting event on the planet now. Because there's always StubHub, there's always SeatGeek. Even on the Super Bowl, the day of the Super Bowl, you can show up and get a fabulous deal on a ticket for a sporting event. But in order to get into the White House, you have to 100% be cleared by security in advance. Having been to the White House a few times, no big brag, you have to be providing your info to them in advance. Is that going to stand up? I don't know. I need one of those like book holders or whatever. You have to provide all your information to them in advance, or they won't allow you to be able to be in the White House. So I think legitimately, this is going to be the toughest ticket that has ever existed in the history of a modern American sports, maybe any sporting event ever, because you're not going to be able to just decide, oh, I'm rich, I'll just go buy a ticket, I want to go to this, as many of us have become used to being able to do as it pertains to the overall attendance at a sporting event. Okay, this thing, not intentionally, is reminding me. So I'm super excited for this. I think it's the underlying reason why Trump is trying to clean up Washington, D.C., because he wants the 250th anniversary of our nation's birth of independence to be spectacular. And I think he is desperate to make sure that as many people as possible can be safe in the nation's capital. Okay, this book, all right? This is an advanced reading copy of my book. I went out to dinner with my editor last night, and he said it is incredibly important to have early purchases of the book because that dictates placement in stores, okay? I don't know how many more books I'm going to write. This is the 5th one that I have written. I would ask you, please go buy a copy. You can go on Amazon right now, pre-order it. You'll get it on the day of release. He says, hey, the most important thing you can do, it's not going to be out for a little while, but I just went on Amazon yesterday and bought the newest Mick Herron book. That's my Slow House, basically, for those of you who are watching the show on Apple. It's not out till September, but I get it delivered on the release day. Please do me a favor. The book is called Balls, and it's all about how Trump won in the 2024 election, about bringing together Trump, young men, and sports fans to save America. I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you're curious why young men are moving in such ample and substantial numbers, and I'm going to talk about the opposite of this, which is white women, this is the book for you. It's going to be entertaining. For those of you who want me to be writing more, unlike almost everybody else out in the political and sports universe, every word of this book is me. I sat down in front of the laptop, wrote the entire thing. I think you're going to love it. I'm going to be promoting it like crazy because I want this book to open #1 overall in the New York Times bestseller list. That's my goal, candidly. It's not #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. I'm going to say that I failed because that's my goal. That's what I would like you to help me do. And so please go buy an advance copy of Balls. It's up on Amazon. It's up at Barnes & Noble. You can basically find it anywhere on the planet. And so I think that you guys will enjoy it. So the book, Balls, do me a favor. If you're watching this right now, click like and subscribe. Please go buy a copy of the book. All right. I talked about, let me play this cut. I want to play this crazy white woman who evidently is on a Bravo show. I don't know her. My wife loves all the Real Housewives shows. Your wife or your girlfriend probably likes all these shows too. Evidently, this crazy chick was on, and I do think this is important. People say, well, what is this representative of? The data, and I talk about this some in the book, the data out there is that white, black, Asian, and Hispanic men all were more likely to vote for Donald Trump in 2024 than they were in 2020. Hispanic, Asian, and black women were all more likely to vote for Trump in 2024 too. The only group in America that Kamala Harris gained support with was white women. White women were Kamala's base. They are now the base of the Democrat Party, and they sound like this. Why are they so angry? Listen to her go off on Trump voters. Play it, please.
I've had it with white people that triple trumped, that have the nerve and the audacity to walk into a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant, go to perhaps their gay hairdresser. I don't think you should be able to enjoy anything but Cracker Barrel. And if you want to triple Trump and you want to browbeat DEI and you want to browbeat gay people and you want to browbeat black people as you've been doing for 400 years, and you want to browbeat this generation of immigrants that come over here and open up businesses earnestly, pay their taxes, you want to demonize them and call them rapists and felons and all this shit when the felon is the teeny weeny mushroom cock piece of shit, Kankle's McTaco tits at the top of the ticket. I have fucking had it from top to bottom. White people that triple Trump should be banned, boycotted from enjoying the best thing that America has to offer, which is multiculturalism. Get your fat asses out of the Mexican restaurant. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel, because nobody wants to see your fucking smug ass, teeny weeny, pink arm, big gut around. Nobody wants to see that shit. No one.
I imagine that your party is having to deal with that kind of crazy. And again, I don't think it's been talked about enough. White women were the only group more likely to vote for Kamala Harris. Why are they so angry? It's hard to put yourself into other people's worldview. My theory on this, honestly, is they have made a lot of life choices that they're not happy about. Like that woman, for instance, all the plastic surgery that she had. Adam, do some research. Does she have a family? And they're looking around and they have to believe that they are morally superior to others, because otherwise, what else do they have? They've made choices probably that haven't been the right ones for their life. And as a result, they're screaming attacks and hurling insults, and they're not even logical. Because if every Trump voter in America, and I'm one of them, but if every Trump voter in America suddenly said, okay, I won't eat Mexican or Chinese food anymore, do you know who would be overwhelmingly harmed? Hispanic and Asian workers and owners of those restaurants. So even the logic here, we had a caller who said, hey, this is like when Major League Baseball pulled the All-Star game out of Atlanta. The people that actually hurt the most were all of the small business owners, many of them minorities, that would have otherwise been making a bundle serving all the people coming in for that game. And I do think that this is sort of crystallizing the broken nature of Democrat Party arguments. And I don't know how you make a woman like that happy. First of all, I don't think you can, because I think she's profoundly unhappy at the world. And also, that is the base. Think about how hard it is. Every other racial group, male and female, was less likely to vote for Kamala in 2024 than Biden in 2020, except for white women. As awful as a candidate as Kamala was, she actually increased her overall support compared to in past years. I think that's hard to reconcile. I really do. And I think there are a lot of still sane Democrats looking around saying, how in the world can we win when the front-facing aspect of our party is these crazy chicks? Again, really deep dive. My book deep dives on the boys, young men, and young women. I think are moving as well. But this group, this left crazy woke universe, is actually not driven by minorities at all. It's driven by white women whose brains are broken. Okay, let's hit. I think I'm supposed to do a read for PrizePicks. Is that correct? And tell you that with football season upon us, PrizePicks is absolutely phenomenal. Go get signed up right now for $5. When you place a pick, you will get hooked up with $50. You can play it in 40-plus states, California, Texas, Georgia, if you're feeling left out, for instance. Easy to play. Pick more or less, at least 2, as many as 6 different athletes. With the preseason back underway, it is very easy to make your picks. You're going to love it. It makes sports more fun than it otherwise would be. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code OutKick. $5 gets you $50. Make sure that you have some fun. 40-plus states, 13 million players. Download the app today. PrizePicks, $50 when you use code OutKick and play $5. PrizePicks, run your game. I didn't expect that anybody would come after me for my absolutely innocuous, maybe the least controversial opinion that I have ever shared in the history of my life. I said something really, really simple. I said, hey, I want there to be less murders in the United States, in Washington, D.C., and in other cities. And as a result, I got attacked by Media Matters, which, according to the New York Times, is close to going bankrupt. And one reason they're going bankrupt is because they have no actual audience. And in fact, the audience they do have is alienated. And so here was what Media Matters wrote. OutKick's Clay Travis. Federal takeover of D.C. should be a test case for whether we can go into other cities. This is their headline. And then it follows. These are the quotes. What reasonable person is upset because the president of the United States is going to try to keep less American citizens from being murdered? I mean, this is the easiest. 100% of people should be in favor of this. President's marshaling all the resources in what should be a crown jewel of the entire United States to try and make sure far fewer people are murdered every single month, every single year. That's what I said on Fox News. And then I continued. I would like D.C., I was on with Harris Faulkner, to be a test case for whether we can go into other cities where far too many people are being murdered and help to drive down the violent crime rate there as well. I think lax bail laws, not putting bad guys in jail, is why these crime rates are continuing, and I think we should drive them down precipitously everywhere. It should be a goal that everybody is behind. Thank you for writing up my opinions. Is this a controversial take? Is it remotely controversial to say, hey, I want there to be less murders in the country, and I think anything the president can do to help make that happen is a good thing? This is how broken in general Democrat ideas are. that they're so reflexively anti-Trump that even decisions that Trump is making that are unmistakably the right decision are attacked. I got attacked yesterday on MSNBC. Maybe we need to clip this. We played it on Clay and Buck for saying that I wanted there to be less murders in Washington, D.C. And that if Trump were able to deliver less murders in Washington, D.C., as a result of there being more security, that I think we should apply the same lessons and also activate the same guardsmen in St. Louis and Kansas City and Memphis and many other cities out there with extraordinarily high per capita homicide rates. We should drive it all down. I can't believe that that was considered controversial, but thank you, Media Matters, for writing up what I consider to be the least controversial take that I have ever had. Bobby Barack did this story. He said that, and I want to make sure I get this right, so let me scroll down, that there was a reporter who works at ESPN. And this is a Bobby Barack story. He does great work at OutKick. And I'm reading from a tweet from OutKick. ESPN sent Sam Ponder an angry email for liking a tweet from Megyn Kelly saying men don't need gynecologists. So Sam Ponder liked a tweet saying men don't need gynecologists. That doesn't seem like that crazy of a take. They were upset. Yet the network hasn't said a word about Taylor Tannenbaum liking a tweet saying F Trump and F ICE. Now, I don't know who Taylor Tannenbaum is. Full disclosure, I saw this story and I was like, oh, that is incredibly hypocritical of ESPN. And they should, I think, say something about the fact that this has happened. And just treat it the same. Either say everybody can like whatever they want in their politics, or they can't. And then I clicked. I was like, I don't even know who Taylor Tannenbaum is. And I clicked on her name, and she's got me blocked. So I always know that the softest people in America are blocking people who have never interacted with them in their lives. Because what it means is, and I'm not saying like I'll occasionally block somebody who is obsessively in my mentions, not very often, but if I'm like, oh, dude, you're always in the mentions, you're always arguing with people, you're always tagging me, like I don't really have any interest, say whatever you want. I don't think I've ever blocked anybody that I've just seen their opinion and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can never be exposed to what this person thinks again. It's the sign of a weak mind and a soft intellect. If you are so bothered by what a stranger says on Twitter that didn't even know you exist, because I didn't even know this chick existed, legitimately. I don't know that I've ever seen her before. And somehow she's seen an opinion of mine that really upsets her. And so she was so weak mentally that she felt compelled to make sure that she never saw my opinions anymore. There are a lot of people like that in sports media who are so weak that they can't even manage to see an opinion from somebody that they're not following that may just echo across the Twitter streets. But I think ESPN has to make a decision. And I believe did I talk about this yesterday, Adam, or the day before, the Gina Carano decision that Disney apologized to her, and why I think it was a significant cultural hallmark, because Disney apologizing to Gina Carano for relatively benign, not very negative comments, and firing her when they allow people to say left-wing commentary all the time, to me was a sign of the culture of America shifting in a big way, that they would publicly apologize with her, that they would settle the case for probably millions of dollars, that they would bring her basically back in to continue to work for Disney. I think that was a big deal. If there were fairness, they would say to this crazy left-wing chick that they employ, hey, if Sam Ponder couldn't like tweets saying that men don't need to have gynecologist appointments, I don't think it's crazy to say, hey, you shouldn't be saying F Trump or F ICE on behalf of the company, particularly because most sports fans are male, and men overwhelmingly voted for Trump. So ESPN is actually alienating far more than half of their audience when they adopt perspectives such as those. Okay, couple of other things. I'll be back tomorrow, by the way. My wife and Buck Sexton are in a battle over whether Buck can hit a serve 100 miles an hour. I'm on Team Buck here. Remember, my wife did not believe I could bench press 185 10 times. I did that last summer. Now she says there's no way that Buck can hit a serve 100 miles an hour. Only thing I'll question here is, one, the all-white outfit, bit aggressive. It's not Wimbledon. And certainly wristbands. I just don't think wristbands are very necessary. Unless you are running like a marathon and you have to like disarm a bomb at the end of the marathon and your hands are sweaty and otherwise you would die. I don't know that wristbands really help that much. But I do think that Buck can hit a serve 100 miles an hour. I think we have video of Buck lining up his serve. This is what it looked like.
Hey guys, Buck Sexton here of the Clay and Buck Show. Scurrilous accusations made by both my esteemed co-host and his wife, Lara Travis, that I can't hit 100-mile-an-hour tennis serve. Now, we don't have a gun out here for this, but I'm going to give you a little sense as to what kind of speed the Buckster is working with. You ready?
Okay, the way that I would break that down is I think that I could still throw a baseball 60 miles an hour. You know, when you have to you don't ever get limber, but they have at the minor leagues, some major league stadiums. I think they still have the radar gun. Everybody has done this at some point in time. I think I could still throw a baseball 60 miles an hour. I think if you could use a racket and a tennis ball, and a baseball's heavy, I think it's likely that you could hit that Buck can hit 100 miles an hour. But he has now bought a radar gun to try to determine whether or not this is true. I think my wife now has a stake bet, which inevitably I'm going to be on the hook for if she's wrong, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to get to your questions on YouTube. Click like, subscribe. Again, I would really appreciate it if you would go buy balls, pre-order it, get it on the day it comes out. It will be out in the months ahead, but pre-orders matter because they have to do with placement of the book in bookstores, which matters a great deal. And I want to hit you with this. Over the weekend, I was having a conversation, and I got advice for everybody out there, every single man out there. You cannot pay on a first date for the meal on a gift certificate. Unacceptable. You cannot do it. You cannot be out at Applebee's or at Chili's or at Outback Steakhouse, and when the bill comes around, you put out a $20 gift certificate. You're basically telling the woman, hey, my mom or dad or aunt or uncle paid for this meal, and you are so insignificant to me that I will not pay actual cash out of my own pocket to take you out for a meal. Cannot do it. It's been controversial. I, however, am right. I don't believe anybody has actually ever been married who had a first date where a man paid for the meal on a gift certificate. Have a little bit of self-respect, men. Also, you should be paying. And women out there, if he's paying for you on a gift certificate or if he's asking you to pay for half the meal, he's not that into you. Move on and find a new guy. All right, we got some questions here from the YouTube universe. Let me see what those questions are, and then I will be back with you tomorrow. Arkansas and Nebraska are in the wrong conference among the many in the wrong conference schools lately. What conference do you think that Arkansas should be in? I could see that argument in 1992 when Texas and Texas A&M and there was the Big 12, and you looked at all those Texas schools and you thought culturally Arkansas made a lot more sense there. I think it's a no-brainer that Arkansas should be in the same conference with Texas and Texas A&M and Oklahoma now. That's like the old Southwest Conference. Those are the linchpins. Before A&M and Texas and Missouri and Oklahoma were in the SEC, I can argue with you and accept even your argument that Arkansas was kind of floating around out there on their own and maybe wasn't the perfect cultural fit. I actually think they're a perfect cultural fit now. Nebraska, I could argue with you that even though they're further north, that Nebraska would actually make more sense in the SEC than in the Big Ten. And I do think this matters. If you look at the map, I think the culture of the SEC schools is pretty similar. Yes, there's a great deal of difference between Texas and South Carolina, Florida and Missouri, Kentucky and Louisiana. But culturally as a whole, it is all geographically directly connected, and every school is a red state. Every SEC state is a red state, and almost all of them have Republican governors. I believe I am correct that of all the SEC states right now, the only state, this is an embarrassment to you, Kentucky, the only state with a Democrat governor is Kentucky. They've got Andy Beshear in office. I believe every other SEC state has a Republican governor, and most of them outside of Georgia, I think, have basically double Republican red state senators. That is everybody but Georgia. I think I'm correct in that. I think that matters from a cultural perspective. And so I actually think even though Nebraska is colder and further north, I think Nebraska would fit better in the SEC when you consider, just ask Nebraska fans. Nebraska fans, would you rather play Oklahoma? Would you rather play Missouri? Would you rather play Texas? Would you rather play Texas A&M? Or would you rather play Rutgers, Maryland, Oregon, and UCLA? Right? Geographically, I think Nebraska fits better, given the way the SEC has expanded, in the SEC, and given the historic rivalry with Oklahoma. There's been a lot of great Nebraska-Texas area schools played games over the years. Kansas arguably maybe makes sense in the SEC too, but I disagree with you about Arkansas. I think they belong in the SEC. I think that is a no-brainer. So that is the way that I would break that down. I just want to know how a fifth-round rookie quarterback is taking up half the offseason NFL news cycle. Not Clay Travis, but everyone else. Sure, it's a story, but if his last name wasn't Sanders, we would not hear anything until he proves something weird. I would argue that Shedeur Sanders has a Tim Tebow aspect to him. Much less successful than Tim Tebow in college, to be sure. But everybody has an opinion on him. And that is, there aren't a lot of great questions in the preseason otherwise, right? Cam Ward, basically nobody's paying attention to because he has ended up with the Titans. If Cam Ward were on a New York area team, everybody would be talking about him. If he were on an LA area team, everybody would be talking about him because he's the number one overall pick. But instead, there's virtually zero criticism of Cam Ward. And tomorrow, Adam, can you pull this video? Because I do want to talk about it, and I think it should have gone mega viral. Cam Ward gave one of the best answers to a question I've ever seen. I love this kid, just based on this one answer. He said he gets to the Titans facility every day at 5 a.m. Pre-dawn, he shows up. I believe it's true. Titans facility every day at 5 a.m. And they said, how do you do that? Why are you doing that? And he said, and I got to be like, I would ride or die for this guy based entirely on this answer. He said, my dad has gotten up every morning at 4:30 for decades to do a job that he doesn't like. Getting to work at 5 a.m. to do a job that I love doesn't, and I'm paraphrasing him, doesn't seem like a very hard thing to do when I look at what my dad has done. Hats off to Cam Ward, Cam Ward's dad. Again, will we clip that for tomorrow? I'll play it. I'll focus on it a little bit more. I just think it's a perfect statement. My dad got up at 4:30 every morning for a job he hated. And a lot of people out there do it because they have the responsibility of taking care of their family. And Cam Ward said, guys, I can get to work at 5 a.m. for a job I love. If my dad can get up at 4:30 for a job he hates for decades, I can get up at 5 a.m. for a job I love. More power to him. But I think the answer is nobody has a strong take on Cam Ward. I haven't seen anybody come out and say he's going to be the greatest quarterback ever or the worst quarterback ever. And Shedeur, there's lots of opinions on him. I haven't spent that much time on him. I talked about it on Monday's show. I said, hey, I'm not going to overreact to the preseason NFL performances because I've seen actual NFL performances. Marcus Mariota, 5 touchdowns first game. Will Levis, 4 touchdowns first game. Both of those guys didn't pan out. And you want me to react to how Shedeur Sanders did in a preseason game? I'm just not going to do it. The answer is people click. Because a lot of people have weighed in that respect on that story. Thank goodness for screenshots and the like. Clay Stephen A. preview for a presidential election coming to a theater near you. Remember this one, kids. Trump gets his second term, then he absolutely endorses Clay Travis as his prodigy. Now, Joey, that is a heck of a call. You're going to have to talk to Laura Travis. My wife is not excited about me doing anything politics. Kids are young. I don't think I'm going to be running for any kind of political office anytime soon. Maybe you're right. I make a good living. I think I got a lot of good jobs. So my youngest is 10. Maybe when he's off to college in 8 years, I'll have a different viewpoint on political office. But for right now, I'm happy to do the Stephen A. debate September 16th in New York City, and I think that'll be the only debate I do anytime soon. If Donald Trump is Batman, does that make Kamala Harris the Joker because of the way she cackles when she laughs? Yes. Somebody made the clip, and when we clip this and share it, Kamala Harris was getting on a school bus, and she said, the wheels on the bus go round and round, and then I swear to God, she laughed just like the Joker would have. It looked like a scene from a Batman movie. The Joker would 100% be walking in full face paint towards the school bus and be like, the wheels on the bus go round and round. Ah, ha, ha. That's exactly what Kamala Harris did. So, yes, if Trump is Batman, Kamala Harris is definitely the Joker. All right. I love all of you. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. I am Clay Travis. Exciting for me. Football game today. My 9th grader has a football game. I'm about to go downstairs, hop in the car, and begin the process of taking him to that game. It's football time in Tennessee. I hope it's football time wherever you are, sooner rather than later. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. I'm Clay Travis. This has been OutKick, the show.